Hello and welcome to Tori's Stories. Today's story is a true New Zealand story. It's called Herbert, the Brave Sea Dog. It's written by Robyn Belton. A big thank you to Craig Potton Publishing for giving us permission to record this story. If you have a copy of the book, why don't you go and fetch it and we can read along together. Herbert was a small dog who lived in Nelson by the sea. Everybody liked him, but the person who loved him most was Tim. One day, Tim and Herbert went down to the jetty. Tim's father was on board a boat with two friends. They were going to a cottage in the Marlborough Sounds. With a bound, Herbert leapt on board with them. Tim wished he could go too, but he was travelling by road with his mother. His dad said, "The waters in French Pass are too treacherous. There are deadly whirlpools. It's no place for a child." "Well, look after Herbert, Dad," called Tim. At first, the sea was calm and the boat sped along the coastline. Dolphins appeared, tumbling and turning, leaping and diving. Herbert was so excited that he ran from one side of the boat to the other, wagging his tail and barking. But the fine weather didn't last. Without warning, a strong wind swept down from the hills, whipping up the waves. The boat began to pitch and toss. The dolphins disappeared. Dark clouds hid the sun. Rain and sea beat against the boat. All sign of land disappeared. The boat had to be through the pass before the turn of the tide. Now the men had only their compass to guide them. Nobody noticed what happened to Herbert. Nobody saw him lose his balance and fall into the sea. He tried to bark, but nobody heard him. Herbert paddled after the boat, but it was already far away. The waves were like mountains. He struggled up one side, down the other, with the wind in his face. As night fell, the wind dropped. Herbert was exhausted, but he was still swimming. When the boat was safely through French Pass, the men looked at each other. "Where's Herbert?" "Herbert!" shouted Tim's dad. "Where are you?" They searched the boat from stem to stern. "He's fallen overboard. We have to go back," Tim's dad said. "We can't go back. The tide's turned," said one of the men. "We'd never get through the pass. He won't survive in that sea," said the other. With heavy hearts, they carried on. It was late when they reached the jetty by the cottage. Tim, his mother and their friends were anxiously waiting. The dreadful news had to be told. Tim cried and cried. "He's alive," he said. "I know he's alive. We must go back." His dad tried to explain about the tides. "And it's dark, Tim." But Tim wouldn't give up. "He's alive. I know it." Dad said, "We'll search for him tomorrow, and we'll ask the fisherman who lives at the pass to help us. He knows the area like the back of his hand. Go to sleep now, Tim." But Tim could not sleep. Next morning at first light, Tim and his dad set off in the boat with the fishermen. The storm was over. The sea was cold and empty. Tim searched with tears in his eyes. He said to his dad, "This will be the worst or the best day of my life." All morning they searched that empty sea, peering and calling. There was no sign of Herbert. "It's no good," said the fisherman. "We might as well turn back." "No!" cried Tim. "Please, keep looking." One more time they took the boat to the outer sounds. The fisherman strained his eyes. "What's that?" he said, reaching for his binoculars. "There's your dog, mate," the fisherman said. In a circle of ripples, Tim could see a little black nose. "Herbert!" he shouted. They brought the boat over to Herbert. "I knew you were alive," said Tim. "I just knew it." The fisherman scooped Herbert out of the water. Herbert lay on the deck without a sound. Tim gently wrapped him in a blanket and held him tight. All the way home, Tim cradled Herbert in his arms. "I knew it," he said. "I just knew it." 30 hours in the water, said Dad. "A miracle," said the fisherman. Tim smiled. "This is the best day of my life." The good news went out over the radio, and soon Herbert's story was told all around the country. He received letters and presents from people who wanted to say how happy they felt. When he had completely recovered, there was a big party in Nelson, and Herbert was given a medal for his bravery. I do hope you enjoyed today's book. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel to stay up to date on all my latest videos. You can also find me on Facebook. Just search for Tori Stories. See you next time.